Hello, welcome to my channel, Another Bibliophile Reads. My name is Greg, and I'm going to do a trio of holiday tags. I will break up this video into 3 sections, so if a viewer is interested in one tag or another, you don't have to sit through them all. I'll put in chapters. The first tag is the Naughty or Nice BookTube tag. It was created by MJ at Reading This Life and Ollie at CriminOlly. And it has 2 sets of prompts. You can do one or the other, but I'm going to do both sets. The Nice prompt, which was created by CriminOlly. What book filled your heart with joy in 2022? I don't know if I'd say filled with joy, but one of the most enjoyable books that I read was True Grit by Charles Portis, narrated in the audiobook version by Donna Tartt, author of The Secret History and The Goldfinch. And her voice melted me. She had this very nice southern drawl, which fit very well with the character of Mattie, which was a young girl in a Western, going out to seek vengeance for her father's murder. And it was just an amazingly easy and fun book to listen to. Prompt number 2. What fictional book character is at the top of Santa's nice list? From The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles, Professor Abacus Abernathy. And he wrote a book called Professor Abacus Abernathy's Compendium of Heroes, Adventurers, and Other Intrepid Travelers. And this book is very important to one of the main characters, Billy, who has some issues in his life. He's an escaped convict, for one, but he has more issues than just that. And he loves this book so much because it has 26 chapters and describes the lives of 26 heroes, such as Ulysses from the Odyssey. And Professor Abernathy just distills down into a page or two the essence of these heroes. And Billy's quite fascinated with Ulysses. And he meets up with the author in New York City in his office in the Empire State Building. And the author is just a kindly old man who treats this boy with issues and on the run from the law very kindly. Prompt number 3. Have you always been on Santa's nice list? Have I ever been on Santa's nice list? Probably not. Prompt number 4. Show us the nicest cover from a book that you read this year. And this is The Passenger and Stella Maris by Cormac McCarthy. Turn it over, and you see that. And if you turn it over on its sides, it will look like that. Beautiful. I'm holding it upside down. Kind of hard to tell. Beautiful, beautiful covers on this book. Prompt 5. Share a nice holiday seasonal memory or tradition. In 2020, I was living in the suburbs of Seattle, and my mother-in-law was living with us. Do not live with your mother-in-laws, folks. Don't do it. And she was elderly and in bad health and a little daft in the head. And she loved bling. So my wife and I went off to Home Depot and bought her the blingiest fake Christmas tree you can imagine and set it up for her. And she was just sitting there with utter delight looking at this god-awful ugly tree, because old ladies like gaudy, blingy trees. And She passed away shortly afterwards, but she had a nice few days looking at her gaudy tree. And I had months taking up bling from all over the house because that tree spread bling everywhere. Prompt number 6. What 22 release would you give to someone who has been nice? I'm going to cheat a little and give my 22 release from the paperback edition of a book because I really don't read a lot of new releases. And that would be Fox and I, An Uncommon Friendship by Catherine Raven. Catherine Raven was a professor of natural history, biology, something like that. She was living in a remote cabin in the woods, and she befriended a wild fox. And according to her memoir, yes, a human and a wild fox can be friends. It's a very good book, and highly recommended. Prompt number 7. Who is the nicest booktuber? Well, I won't say the nicest because there are a lot of nice booktubers, but a booktuber that I find very nice is Jolene at Bookworm Adventure Girl. It is always a delight to watch her videos and hear her comments because she just seems like a very kind person. The Naughty List prompt, created by MJ. Name your favorite naughty fictional character. Harry Flashman, from the series of books by George MacDonald Fraser. Flashman is a Victorian gentleman, and I use gentleman in air quotes. Everyone thinks he's a gentleman, but he's no gentleman. He is a coward. He is a misogynist. And he is a liar. And he somehow manages to achieve greatness by running away until he can no longer run away and have to fight his way in sheer and utter terror, but succeeding nonetheless. Horrible human being in some ways, utterly charming in others. Prompt number 2. What 22 release would you give someone who has been naughty? Let's give American Crusade, How the Supreme Court is Weaponizing Religious Freedom by Andrew L. Seidel, because that book is in essence about 6 very naughty judges who want to enforce their religious views on people who do not share their views, and they just don't give a rat's ass if you don't believe them. They just want to enforce their views. Whether it would help that naughty person become a better person, who knows? Prompt number 3. What author would you least like to meet in person? James Ellroy. He has a very unique style. He basically cuts out every unnecessary word from every sentence, and it is stripped down and clipped. It has this odd cadence that's strikingly beautiful in some cases and just strikingly odd in others. But he has been known to say, I just want to be alone. And I think if I were to meet him, he would be rude, he would be short, because he just wants to be alone. So I'll leave him alone and enjoy his books by myself. Prompt number 4. What naughty character deserves a chance to be on the nice list? I'm going to go out on a limb and say Ignatius J. Riley. Such a horrible man in many respects, but through his horridness, he improves the life of others. Trixie gets to retire. The owner of Levy Pants gets reinvigorated about his business possibilities. Patrolman Mancuso solves a major crime. And others get their rewards, all because Ignatius is a blunderbuss of a human being. And poor Myrna Meekoff, she's kind to him. She definitely needs some kindness shown. And maybe her life will improve with Ignatius. So give Ignatius a shot. Number 5. Have you ever been on Santa's naughty list? What do you think? Prompt number 6. Share a seasonal holiday guilty pleasure. Hot chocolate. Right around this time of year, it starts getting chilly, and I just like having a hot chocolate to drink after dinner. Prompt number 7. Name a naughty booktuber. I am going to pick Elizabeth the Merciless because when she comes across a book that she thinks has flaws, she is merciless in her critique, and she will go on and tell you exactly what this book does wrong. That's kind of naughty, but naughty in a very good way. And of course, Elizabeth the Merciless is better known as just Elizabeth from Bookins and Books. The Vlogagram Tag, created by Sean, the Book Maniac, and Heather at Soggy Expat Book Nerd. Now, this is a tag done in the Vlogagram. A lot of booktubers are doing a Vlogagram for this season, and I was tagged by Run Right Reads on her day 6 of the Vlogmas. And I will leave the rules for this down below. But essentially, you can do this tag without doing a vlog. And I'm not doing a vlog, but the rules will be down below. And in essence, the rule is come up with 3 unique questions for 2 different booktubers and go from there. So her questions to me, the first was, why do you have multiple copies of a book? In most cases, or a lot of cases, it's just dumb mistakes. I buy a copy of like an Ed McVeigh 86-7 Precinct novel, and a few months later, I'm in another bookstore and I see it and go, this is cheap, and I buy the same book twice. That's just a mistake. However, there are some legitimate reasons to own multiple copies of a book. And I will show you one right here. This is The Odyssey by Homer, translated by Robert Bagels. And here I have The Odyssey of Homer, translated by Alan Mendelbaum. As a translation, I feel fully justified owning 2 different copies of The Odyssey because it's a different translation, and it's a different book and a different experience, even though the essence of the story is, of course, the same. And not only do I have those 2 hardcover versions of The Odyssey, I have at least 2 other Kindle versions. And here's another reason. I can only show you one, but this is The Magus by John Fowles. This is his originally published edition. After he published it, he decided to make some revisions and re-released it. So I own an ebook copy of the revision and an audiobook of the revision. But it's nice to have this because if I'm reading my ebook, I can go back to this one and see what he changed when he decided that the book really wasn't quite as he expected it to be. And those are a couple of reasons to have multiple copies of a book. Her second question to me was, do you give books as gifts? As a general rule, no, I do not. And I do not do that because it's really hard to buy books for people, especially book readers. I know Steve Donahue has mentioned this before. How could you buy a book for him and not know whether he's read a book or not? Especially for someone like him who reads so much. And even for me, I read a lot and own a lot. And it'd be very hard to pick out a book and buy it for me unless you knew me really, really well. And that's the reason I don't buy books for people, because I really don't know what people like in some cases. It's just books are so individual. It's just very hard to pick a title for a person and know that person's going to enjoy that book. If I had to buy books for someone, I'd get a gift certificate to their favorite bookstore so they can go and buy whatever they want. Third question, farthest you've traveled from home, and a quest to show books. And the farthest I've traveled from home is Hawaii. Even when I lived in Seattle, Hawaii was a long distance away. Even longer now that I live in Virginia. But I'm calling that the farthest I've ever traveled from home. And while I do not own physical copies of these two books, there are two that stand out books that I know about Hawaii. One I read earlier this year called 5 Decembers by James Kestrel, and it is a hard case crime book. It is essentially a murder mystery. It is set a few days before Pearl Harbor, and a homicide detective is called to a case to solve a murder. And of course, the bombing of Pearl Harbor gets in the way, but this detective really wants to solve this murder, and it takes him through the war, away from Hawaii and into Japan during the war, to find the murderer. An excellent murder mystery. Another book set in Hawaii is Winds of War by Herman Wouk. This is a story of how America gets involved in World War II. And there are a lot of scenes in Hawaii. And those are the two that stand out for Hawaii. It is actually a place that I have not read a whole lot about. So thank you for tagging me, Run Right Reads, but I'm not done yet. I have to tag 2 people and give them each 3 questions. First person is David Wiley. Question 1. What's your favorite physical book in your library? Question number 2. What's the most dangerous book or story you've read? Because we're reading Dangerous Visions by Harlan Ellison. Let's get into some real danger. Question number 3. What's the book you'd most like to own but do not currently own? Second person I'm tagging is Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. Question number 1. Where's the most unusual location you've read a book? Question number 2. What's the most strange WTF book or story you've read? Question number 3. Do you have any genres that you avoid reading or at least really dislike? So that is the end of my Vlogmas tag. Tag number 3, the return of the Krampus book tag, created by David's Book reviews. I was tagged by Alan at Big Hard Books and Classics. Let me start off by giving you a Wikipedia description of Krampus. Krampus is a horned anthropomorphic figure in the Central and Eastern Alpine folklore of Europe, who, during the Advent season, scares children who have misbehaved. Assisting St. Nicholas, or Santa Claus, the pair visit children on the night of December 5th, with St. Nicholas rewarding the well-behaved children with modest gifts such as oranges, dried fruit, walnuts, and chocolate, while the badly behaved ones receive punishment from Krampus with birch rods. I suppose that means a good spanking. There are 9 prompts for this tag. Number 1, the man himself. Which fictional character would best portray the Christmas demon? For this, I had to ask myself, what is the essence of a demonic spirit? Meanness, cruelness, pettiness. To name a few. And for that, I'm going to pick Jason Compton, because he is mean, he is cruel, and he is petty. He treats people like they're rubbish. And if anyone were to become a Christmas demon, I think he could become one and probably enjoy it. Number 2, is that sleigh bells? Which fictional character deserves to be visited by Krampus? I'm just going to be mean here. I'm going to say Charlie Brown, because he's just an annoying little git. Go ahead and spank him with your birch rods, Krampus. Number 3, bedtime stories. What is a horror book that best fits the festive season? I'm hard-pressed. I cannot think of any horror novel set at the Christmas period. So I'm just going to pick a book set in a winter period. This is a book that is technically on my TBR for this month. I don't know if I'll get to it. I've got a lot to read, but that would be Ghost Story by Peter Straub. I read that in the 80s, but I don't remember much about the book. Maybe I'll get around to it rereading this month. Maybe. Prompt number 4, devilish gifts. What is one strange fictional item you would like to receive from Krampus? I would like to receive the time machine from H.G. Wells's novel. I will not be traveling far into the future to meet the Morlocks, or even further in the future to meet the end of the world. But I will go a week ahead and learn those Powerball ticket numbers and the stock exchange, what's going on there, because that is a good way to use a time machine. Number 5, food, glorious food. What is one unusual food, fictional or real, that you would like to eat for Christmas dinner? I love Indian food. I love their curries. I love the kebabs. I love naan. I even like Taj Mahal beer and some pakoras for a side, or some samosas. So I'm creating an Indian holiday feast. Prompt number 6, home for Christmas. What is one dark and dangerous fictional location you would like to visit for Christmas? Okay, for dark and dangerous, I am picking the ship, the Terror, stuck in ice in the North Pole, from The Terror by Dan Simmons, because that's going to be mighty dark and mighty cold, and you know there's something outside that ship that just isn't very nice at all. Prompt number 7. Location, location. Where would you like to travel with Krampus? Or who would you like to visit him and why? I would like to visit Mar-a-Lago in Florida, because in that great mansion there is a very naughty, naughty boy who needs to be spanked with birch rods. You're going to have a little bit of trouble getting around the Secret Service. I'm sure they would shoot a Christmas demon like Krampus, but I think he could handle it. I'll hang in the background with my iPhone and take pictures of that naughty boy being spanked. Post it to Truth Social. Prompt number 8, locking horns. What fictional character, good or evil, would you like to see battle against Krampus? Sherlock Holmes, because Sherlock Holmes would be very quick to suss out the essence of Krampus and thwart him in his ways. Prompt number 9, spreading the fear. What book, fiction or nonfiction, would Krampus give to Santa Claus for Christmas and why? Let's give him The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, just so Santa knows that that book is not an instruction manual, and he can push out that information to some people who think otherwise. Well, that is the end of the Krampus book tag, and the end of my 3 tags. Thank you for watching, and keep on reading.